Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 404. Yeah, I know, 404. This is not an error. Yesterday was the error, not the day. That's cool. I love that number. My daughter Rachel and I were laughing about it last night before I hit the sack. But 404, error code 404. If you know anything about computers, that's the one error you don't want to see. All right. But welcome to the JP8 Report. Thank y'all for tuning in. It feels like I was just online about an hour ago. I was. So if y'all were listening, okay. My bank giving me a text message. If you were watching, I'm doing like an A/B test today because Graham Allen's not on today. I know that. That's cool. But I do this at 6:30 in the morning Central and at noon. And I want to see if I do it at 6:30 and at 8 a.m. Central, if it's a good time. But I tell you what, before we get started, oh my goodness, that is a lot of work to do a turnover in 1 hour. I'm serious. But I'm going to see how this turns out this morning. Let's see how it goes as we get started and everyone's tagging in and stuff. If you're watching this, click that follow button to follow the JP8 Report. Whether I'm doing this at 8 a.m. Central or noon Central, I would like for y'all to tag in and listen to me. I do some pretty cool stuff sometimes. I do a lot of history, a lot of news. I don't do a lot of entertainment, but I like to talk about conservative news, all right? Please give me a like for the podcast itself for the day, and let's go. America 250. America 250 for the day is New York, Virginia, and North Carolina. All their legislatures voted for independence, and New York demanded that its delegates in the Second Continental Congress vote on independence when it comes up, which would be about a month from now, right? And then James Madison offered amendments to the Declaration of Rights. He offered two of them. I'm going to read them both, and they're not long, so don't get your panties all in a wad, all right? But Amendment A, that religion or the duty that we owe our Creator and a manner of discharging it be under the direction of reason and conviction only, not of violence and compulsion. All men are equally entitled to the full and free exercise of it according to the dictates of conscience, and therefore no man or class of men ought, on account of religion, to be invested with peculiar emoluments or privileges, nor subjected to the penalties and disabilities unless under etc. Okay. And B, that religion or the duty which we owe our Creator and the manner of discharging it can be directed only by reason and conviction, not by force or violence, and therefore that all men are equally entitled to enjoy the free exercise of religion according to the dictates of conscience, unpunished and unrestrained by the magistrate, unless the preservation of equal liberty and the existence of the state are manifestly endangered, and that it is the mutual duty of all to practice Christian forbearance, love, and charity towards each other. Pretty cool, huh? From a future president, James Madison. All right, one of our forefathers. All right. So next, armament shop. The armament shop. Whether you're looking for your first firearm, upgrading your setup, or need expert service, Jason at the Armament Shop is Copper's Cove's premier source for all things shooting. Browse our wide selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns, backed by top-tier gunsmithing for repairs, along with reloading supplies and professional cleaning to keep your firearm in peak condition. Need a transfer? We make FFL transfers fast, easy, and affordable. Need your CHL? Well, Jason can handle those classes. He has over 3 decades of experience. Visit the Armament Shop today at 115A West Avenue D in Coppers Cove, or call or text 254-560-2023, or visit www.armamentshop.com. That's www.armamentshop.com. The Armament Shop, your safety, our priority. All right, thank you for that. Go to the next one, get ready. All right, so, man, Iran update. There's a lot that's happened over the last few hours. There's been no signed ceasefire accord between the U.S. and Iran yet, because there's a couple of stipulations, and you'll hear it in just a few minutes. Trump's deciding on a memorandum of understanding, which would enact a 60-day ceasefire between Iran and the United States. Iran's economy is in free fall. Talks depend on a good deal. That's from either the president or Scott Bessent said that one of the two. No sanctions relief until the strait is open and there's a uranium deal. You'll hear more about that in a few minutes. All right. Next, the IDF launches strikes against Hezbollah. The Strait of Hormuz will not be controlled by anybody. That came from the president. Oman, no. Iran, no. Nobody. Okay. Iran says that it shot down a plane. That's fake news. It never happened at all. All aircraft are totally accounted for as per CENTCOM. That'd be Central Command. Pakistan Foreign Minister will be in D.C. today with talks with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. And the Israeli Hezbollah is supposed to be included with any ceasefire. That's per Iran. And matter of fact, Iran says they want to have capabilities to still enrich low levels of uranium. There is no need for enriched uranium at all, except for if you want nuclear weapons. That is the only reason for it. That's a no-go. President already said you will not have an enrichment program at all inside your country. Totally. So in terms of oil, as of about 45 minutes ago, Brent crude oil was trading at $92.13 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate, $87.63 a barrel. We filled up our car in Coppers Cove, Texas last night on 116 North and Lutheran Church Road for $3.59. So if you're not thinking the price of gas is going down, you're mistaken. You need to take a chill pill and wait. A couple more days, it'll probably be down toward about $3.40 a gallon. If these prices stand up the way they are right now, it's going to go down some more. All right. So if you're in Coppers Cove, go to the north side. You know where Lutheran Church over by House Creek North, $3.59 a gallon. All right. The Dow Jones closed yesterday up 24.69. It's at 50,668.97. All right. That's your Iran update for Friday. All right. For the JP8 report. All right. Hold on. Let me get something to drink here. Like I said, I only had an hour turn and burn from the first one to this one. All right. So the first thing I'm going to get into is the no sanctions relief until it hands over this enriched uranium. That's from Scott Bessent yesterday. Scott Bessent filled in for Caroline Leavitt yesterday for the White House press briefing, and he did really good. He made it humorous, and he was down to brass tacks. That was awesome. All right. So, like I said, Bessent says Iran will not have sanctions relief until it hands over enriched uranium. All right. So, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told reporters at the White House Thursday that he will not be granting any sanctions relief for Iran until it turns over its enriched uranium, which it used in nuclear programs. The comment comes the same day sources in the U.S. and Iran have reached a tentative agreement to extend their ceasefire by 60 days and begin talks on the regime's nuclear program, though President Trump has not signed off on it. Bessent, who filled in for White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt while she was on maternity leave, declined to confirm the extent of the ceasefire, but said the U.S. will not lift the sanctions on Iran until the country hands over the uranium and commits to not working toward obtaining a nuclear weapon. Nothing is going to be on the table until we see that the Strait of Hormuz is open and the Iranians agree that they have to turn over the highly enriched uranium and that they cannot have a nuclear program, Bessent said. The secretary said the decision on the extended ceasefire is up to the president and assured the public that the president would not make a deal that is bad for America, i.e., Barack Obama. It's always a mistake to get out ahead of the president. So it is all going to be the president's decision. He said, we can see that the president's very clearly stated his three prerequisites: open the strait, highly enriched uranium, and no nuclear program. 3 up, 3 down. If those 3 don't pass, no go. And we're off to the races again. The Iranians just got to they got to read the tea leaves as it is. They will not have a nuclear program. They will not possess enriched uranium. And they will not be the troll under the bridge controlling all the traffic going across it. There will be no toll program controlling the Strait of Hormuz. All right. So, Scott Bessent, man, he's a force to be reckoned with. So the next thing, I named this podcast to end leaks. NDAs are now required. All right. This came out yesterday, and I fully agree with it because when I worked for White House Communications in the Army, I was there for 5 years, from 02 to 07. We had to sign an NDA, and I ain't gonna tell you what the NDA was for, but because it's till the day I die type NDA. It confounds me that why would anyone go to work for the President of the United States and decide they want to counteract the decision that the President of the United States makes, whether it's a Republican or Democrat, go and to a reporter and say, off the record, this is happening. How could someone be so disloyal to the President of the United States and do something like that? To that issue, you should not even be working for the president at all. I fully agree with this. Fully agree. If you don't like it, comment. Someone comment if you don't like that the fact that they are going to require NDAs in the executive office of the president. All right. Man, I fully agree. All right. So, hold on just a second here. What? I forgot to do something. Hold it. There we go. All right. I'm all set. Am I still live? Yeah, I'm live. All right. So it says here the Trump administration is hold on. Thanks, Center NBA status revealed. Okay, never mind basketball stuff. The Trump administration is advancing a proposal for federal agencies to use standardized NDAs, non-disclosure agreement, with employees as part of a broader push to stop internal discussions from leaking to the press. This is going to be a full regulatory process so people can give notices and comments. The Office of the Personnel Management, OPM, they're the guys that used to do, and I think they still do, security clearance investigations. Their director, Scott Culper, told Fox News in a Zoom interview, I hate Zoom, we'll respond to those things as well. I'd be surprised if at the end of the day we aren't successful in showing people that this is important for preserving deliberative decision making in the government. The proposal would create a template NDA for federal agencies to use with employees requiring workers to acknowledge existing confidentiality rules as the Trump administration intensifies its crackdown on internal leaks following incidents including the Venezuela raid leak and doxing ICE agents. Officials said that the policy is meant to protect sensitive internal materials while critics question whether it will shield whistleblower protections and employee speech. Before I go on, this could be like yesterday, and I said this morning during the morning brief, but yesterday there was news reports that came out all over the place, even on mine, that E. Jean Carroll was under a perjury investigation, right? Nobody knew where it came from. They just said an unknown source. I think that's what they said. And yesterday evening, the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Chicago came out, made a public statement, and said, no, there's no perjury inquiry of Ms. Carroll. So where did the rumor get started at? Was it a false flag operation to try to see if they could corner a leaker in the government? Could be. Could be. Today's Friday. The person could be released and you will never know that they got fired, right? That's how it goes sometimes. But let's get rid of the leaks in the first place so we don't have to worry about it. Mr. Cooper pointed is a simple example of why NDAs are needed. OPM functions as the federal government's human resources agency overseeing personnel policies and workforce rules for federal employees. I had a meeting today. We had 10 people in the room. It's really hard to run an organization if we have to have that conversation and then 9 out of 10 of those people going to call the media and say, hey, let me just tell you what we talked about in this conversation. It just puts us in a situation where you can't run an organization. You can't have a reasonable conversation with your team if it isolates decision-making policy to make a place that I don't think it's going to be good for anybody he added. Federal employees are already required to safeguard certain confidential and sensitive government information obtained through their work. OPM said the proposed NDA would not create a substantial restrictions on employee speech, but instead establish a work standard process for federal workers to acknowledge existing legal and regulatory obligations regarding confidential information. And he said the proposal of NDAs is to encourage open and honest dialogue in meetings. All right. What do y'all think about that? I still think it's a really good idea. I don't think it's going to stymie free speech. It's going to protect the decision-making process for the president himself. Flat out, all stop. All right. Because if something is classified or sensitive, it should not be making its way out. If something comes from the president, it should not be making its way out through the press because someone wanted to get a little bit of notoriety on the private side, right? Man, that's a really good idea. But I thought it was normal for everyone to do that. Here's another one. Mr. Coppola said the administration should be able to achieve discussions without media leaks. Once it's decided, journalists can FOIA the information. It's freedom of information agreements. Okay, that's like a public information request. Okay, PIR, right? Alrighty. What we're doing? 8:21. 8 people online listening live. So Wednesday night at 9:00 at night, Amy Barrett Coet probably was trying to get her kids ready for bed, right? And gets a knock on the door or a telephone call, one of the two. Evidently, she got swatted at 9:02 p.m. at the local police department while she's getting people ready for bed. Police responded to a swatting call. This should be a felony. There should be no reason why people get away with doing something like this. Police reported a swatting call at the residence of Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett in Virginia on Wednesday evening. Police confirmed making the latest security scare involving a conservative public figure. Yesterday evening at approximately 9:02 p.m., officers responded to a swatting call at the residence of the U.S. Supreme Court Justice in Fairfax County. A Fairfax County Police Department public information officer told Fox News on Thursday that when asked about reports concerning an incident at Coney Barrett's home, Fairfax police responded to Barrett's home after they received a call through the department's non-emergency line. Key point, right? Then met with the Justice Security Detail and confirmed the report was fictitious. The officer told Fox News. The incident comes amid years of heightened threats against Supreme Court justices, including protests outside conservative justices' homes and leaked documents from the Dobbs opinion in 2022, showing the court was possessed to overturn Roe versus Wade, and the arrest near Justice Brett Kavanaugh's home of a California man who was later charged with attempted murder. Officers immediately coordinated with the Supreme Court police personnel assigned to the residence and quickly determined that the report was fictitious. No additional police resources were utilized. The police department said swatting calls target individual by calling in a false police report for crimes such as murder, a hostage situation, bomb threats, or active shooters that would require greater law enforcement responses to the home of the target. A partial audio recording of the police audio surfaced on X on Thursday that reported a call came in for surrounding gunshots. Law enforcement can be heard saying there was a suspicious noise at a 24-hour security coverage on a high priority resident of the county. Wow. Barrett was on the bench Thursday morning alongside her colleagues and read aloud summaries of two opinions she authored. Barrett made no mention of the Wednesday incident in her bench remarks. Swatting is an attempt to get an innocent person killed, in this case, a sitting Supreme Court justice. Senator Mike Lee said that on X. The proper response will be putting the offender in prison for many, many years. I agree with that. You can get people killed so easy doing that. The leaked Dobbs draft opinion became a lightning rod for protests, with abortion rights activists demonstrating outside the homes of Barrett, Kavanaugh, and other members of the conservative court's majority. In June 2022, Californian Nicholas John Roski was charged with attempted murder for making violent threats against Kavanaugh while carrying a gun, knife, and pepper spray near the justice's home. And he was sentenced to 8 years behind bars. All right, so that's all for that one. Do we have any comments about that? I do believe it should be automatic. You might look like, if it looks like they're contemplating someone getting killed, I would say 20 to life. That's crazy that you would even contemplate doing something like that. Alrighty. I got several stuff I'm doing here from Just the News today. So just be prepared. Some of them aren't as long as they could be, but they are. Oh, yeah, almost forgot. Gretchen Whitmer, she's the Democrat governor of Michigan, says she will not run for president of the United States in 2028. Believe it or not, could it be fake? Is it live or is it memorized, right? All right. So a federal judge cleared an EO from President Trump requiring for voter citizenship checks and for, stretch my legs out, mail-in balloting, right? A federal judge on Thursday cleared the way for President Trump to implement his executive order tightening mail-in voting, slapping down Democrat arguments for now that federal efforts to police voter rolls and citizenship checks for illegal aliens, right? U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols, a Trump-appointed judge, ruled that Democrats failed to show that they have standing to challenge the order or have suffered any harm that would warrant a preliminary injunction, given the executive order does not command plaintiffs to do anything, and that no agency has yet acted pursuant to an order in a way that would harm plaintiffs. They have not suffered any harm at present. Nichols rejected several of the Democrats' arguments that Trump's executive order could disenfranchise millions of voters, including that creating a state-by-state citizenship list to check voter rolls would somehow be harmful and even inaccurate. No, it's not, sir. All right. This is a good reading by Judge Nichols. It remains speculative whether the citizenship state citizenship list, and if they are incidentally compiled, will contain inaccuracies. Even if they continue initial inaccuracies, the executive order requires the adoption of procedures that will allow individuals to access it, if necessary, update, and correct their information on the list. The judge also rejected the notion that the federal government sending information to the states about voters could somehow violate voters' privacy. And it says here, plaintiffs failed to demonstrate that such action, that is, the sharing of name, age, residence, and information between and among government agencies, if already known to the federal government, could cause a harm sufficient to establish an Article 3 standing. All right, that's the game that they're playing. They're trying to figure out what they can keep safe, privacy-wise, PII, and what can be put out for the public consumption. All right. This is a way where we can sterilize the voter rolls to make sure only qualified U.S. citizens are able to vote. Keep the illegal aliens out of it. All right. Take a second here. Let me catch up on my list. Halfway done. Before we get to the next subject, did y'all see the explosion in Cape Canaveral last night? Blue Origins had a rocket test and it blew up on the launch pad. Huge explosion. Nobody was hurt or killed, which is good. All right. 8:31. We're doing good. We're doing good. We got people watching. No comments, though, but we got people watching. All right. FBI and DOJ concerns Mar-a-Lago raid bolster Florida-based anti-Trump green conspiracy. All right. Oh, hold on. I know what I'm going to do. I need a cough drop because if you can't hear it, my voice is getting raspy. Alrighty. Recently unearthed documents by key members of the FBI and DOJ about the wisdom and legality of the Biden Justice Department's raid on Mar-a-Lago could bolster the grand jury inquiry into allegations of a decades-long anti-Trump grand conspiracy, which is being run out of the Southern District of Florida. Just the News reported in December that FBI agents raised repeated concerns about whether there was sufficient probable cause to search and then raid President Trump's Gulf Florida resort. Just the News further reported earlier this week that a key DOJ figure and ally of then Attorney General Merrick Garland raised her own questions concerning the raid, including whether Trump had in fact declassified the documents which the Bureau sought to seize. Remember, the president has authority to verbally, and he can do it in pen and paper, every single document he wishes to declassify. All right. The current grand jury investigation, based out of Fort Pierce, Florida, no relation to me, is looking into whether Obama and Biden era government officials engaged in a conspiracy to weaponize law enforcement and intelligence tools to harm Trump and his followers. The probe is being led by Jason Quinonez, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, and is being overseen by U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon. She was in charge of the case in the first place when Jack Smith was trying to argue it. FBI Director Kash Patel, U.S. FBI Director Kash Patel reacted in December to the to revelations about Bureau agents having concerns about Trump's raid's probable cause, with Patel tweeting, "It's true. We just turned over documents in the Capitol Hill to be made public, showing the FBI told DOJ they did not have to have probable cause for raiding President Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago, but the DOJ didn't give a blank and did it anyway." Senate Judiciary Committee Chair Chuck Grassley also said on X at the time that he received shocking new documents today from DOJ and FBI showing FBI did not believe it had probable cause to raid President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, but Biden DOJ pushed for it anyway and said it pushed based on the records of Mar-a-Lago raid and a miscarriage of justice. This week, Trump twice shared on Truth Social a new bombshell email from the Biden DOJ official just went days after the 2022 raid, where the longtime DOJ veteran said she had worries and concerns about the stretch of President Trump's home. Wow. Man. So it seems like it's a whole bunch of stuff about nothing. They just wanted President Trump to be thrown in jail. They're trying to build a packet up so when they send him back, man, I don't know. When are we going to get over this junk? When? Maybe the FBI just needs to be disbanded and rebuilt. That's the only thing I could think of. All right, Biden. So, during the Otto Penn's presidency, Biden tried to rewrite Title IX and got sued. And I know that for a fact because over my left shoulder, you see, I was at Central Texas College for since 2019 to 2025, right? They presented in front of us the rewrite, and we were told that it was being challenged in law. We can't enforce it. All right. So this was instituted by the Biden administration and several LGBTQRSTUV people. Right. And as a matter of fact, you had two groups still trying to push for it to be implemented until this week when they lost. I'm sorry, my eyes are, man. All right. The Bush administration, the Biden's administration attempt to force males into female-only spaces through Title IX is finally dead as of Tuesday. The crazed groups dropped their appeals to get the rule reinstated because it was dropped and they sued for it to be implemented. This is from the Federalist, okay, just so you know. While the Trump administration effectively ended the Biden Title IX rewrite as one of its first actions after taking back the White House in January 2025, reinstating the 2020 rules from the first term, and there were still lingering left-wing attempts to get a judge to block the Trump administration enforce the gender social experiment to school children. Left-wing groups intervened in cases against the Biden Department of Education in two appeals circuits to continue the push for government-enforced gender ideology, but after the critical pro-trans group dropped their appeals in the Fifth and Sixth Circuits, Defending Education, a group that sued the They sued the Biden Department of Education to stop the rule in its 11th Circuit. Was able to file a motion to dismiss the case was not. The court accepted the motion on Wednesday. A Better Balance and Victim Rights Law Center, two left-wing groups, were the interveners of the case from Tennessee 6 and the Texas Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Those groups dismissed their Sixth Circuit appeal last week, and the Fifth Circuit appealed on Tuesday, where the Lions Defending Freedom sued to block the Biden rule. Defending Education told the Federalists that those groups dropping their appeals followed the Department against Defending Education to file and dismiss his own case, which was a safeguard in the event that other circuits ruled in favor of the British role model. Lots of reading. Still got more over here. Biden's Title IX rewrite shredded civil rights protections for women and girls attending school, making sex-specific facilities like bathrooms and locker rooms into federal civil rights violations if the school did not allow opposite sex use. That means boys would be able to sleep in the same room as girls, overnight field trips, and use girls' facilities at will, putting females at risk every day. The Biden administration made this rule even after cases of boys claiming to be girls sexually assaulted girls and committing other acts of violence in the restrooms at the schools. The Biden administration used the reasoning in Bostock versus Clayton County, the infamous case written by Justice Neil Gorsuch, that's cool, and invented the transgender protections in Title VII employment discrimination cases to redefine sex as it relates to civil rights in educational institutions. All right. So the last paragraph goes like this. The Trump 45 rules, which are back in effect, have a high burden of proof and allowed the accused to develop proper defense against accusations, in contrast to the regime put in place by the Obama administration. The Trump rules protect the accused from having their own lives averted by plaintiffs' false accusations leveled against others. Okay, I'm doing. Wow. Alrighty. I'm glad that's over with. I was tired of having those arguments at CTC. Alrighty. We're making progress. Remember, at exactly 10 a.m. Eastern, I have to sign off and I have to leave, okay? Just so y'all know. Hassan Piker. I can't stand the man, right? But he gave up some intel a couple days ago about Hassan Piker. Okay, so not Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker gave up information on Neville Singham about his funding of Republican. Man, let me start this over. Okay, Hassan Piker names pro-CCP tycoon Singham as a financier of political movements of nonprofits. All right. So, because I can't stand Hassan Piker because he's a bleeding leftist, total. All right, he's not. He doesn't have a filter. He just goes off and goes right. Um, Far left political influencer Hassan Piker identified American Marxist tech tycoon Neville Roy Singham, 3 names, right, as a major financier behind a network of pro-communist U.S. nonprofits engaged in political advocacy and a lot of political movements, marking the first public acknowledgement from a figure inside the far left network that organizations in the single network apparently are operating. Wow. The comments are significant because congressional investigators and watchdogs have long argued that nonprofits connected to Singham are functioning as covert political operations. What was that? It just dropped. You can hear, I don't know if y'all heard it, but I can hear stuff all throughout the house. If it's something important, my wife would have yelled. So we're in the clear right now. All right. Where was I at? The comments are significant because congressional investigators and watchdog groups have long argued that nonprofits connected to Singham are functioning as overt political operations while enjoying tax-exempt charitable status. Critics argue such activity may violate nonprofit taxes, which place strict limits on the amount of political activity charities can conduct. As Fox News reported exclusively on Saturday, Treasury Department issued an administrative subpoena to Piker and far-left Code Pink founder Susan Medea Benjamin for possibly violating sanctions, against long doing business with the Communist Party of Cuba when they were traveled to the island nation early in March as ideologically charged transmittal convenience convergence of communists in an international convoy. Piker and Benjamin both responded to requests for comment, but they have publicly defended their trips to march as humanitarian missions and to help the people of Cuba. About 37 minutes in a 6-hour live stream. Wow. On Monday, headline, the feds are after me, percolated in 2 cursing emojis. Piker stunned listeners acknowledged that about the intricacy of far-left coal networks by saying he believes the first federal investigators are ultimately targeting Singham and organizations he supports, including Code Pink and self-declared communist operators in the Answer Coalition and Party for Socialism and Liberation. Wow. Together, these groups and others are in the Singham network and have reorganized, republished, coordinated their staff and most of their medical. Wow. Talking about a conspiracy because you're not supposed to. So the thing is, I heard a little bit about this yesterday. I think it was Charlie Hurt was talking about it. So these nonprofits make all this money, and then they take the money and funnel it to campaign committees out there so they can fund these campaigns running for office. Nonprofits aren't supposed to do that. And if you do, you're supposed to, do federal tax return on that stuff. Alrighty. Sooner or later, they're going to catch up to this guy. Both Hassan Piker and Royce Singham, right? Look at this cool picture of them two holding up the little peace sign. Think they're all cool. So if you're giving money to Code Pink, stop, okay? He's not as overt as she is, but she's definitely at it. We'll go to the next story. Stephen Miller. The DNC, the Democrat National Committee, actually went after Stephen Miller the other night on X. I think it was on X. All right. So the officials at the Democratic National Committee X account ignited a social media storm on Wednesday afternoon after a profanity-laden online spat with President Trump's chief policy advisor, Stephen Miller. They wrote, "Shut up, you ugly blank." Okay, you fill in the blank. Okay. The comment was made in response to Miller's own jeering of James Tellerico, the Democrat state Senate candidate in Texas. The Democrats have made history in Texas by nominating their first transgender Senate candidate. Alrighty. Mike said that needing Tellerico over never his physical appearance. The moment grew quickly drew reactions from conservatives online. Stephen Miller, Katie Miller. Wow. Can you just leave him alone? Leave him and his wife alone. Wow. That's all I can say. This is crazy. Okay, what are we at? 8:52. We're almost done. I want to talk about Low T Telefrico, I'm sorry. The Texas Democrat Senate candidate James Low T Telefrico used his faith to defend abortion during an interview with Jamie Kern Lima show published on Monday. "I don't believe it's a place for politicians," Tellerico told Lima, who defeated Jasmine Crockett for the Democrat state nomination. "I don't believe it's a place in the Senate," Tellerico continued, "and that's a belief I hold not, despite my faith, because faith became my path." What? Jesus never talks about abortion. Yeah, okay, sure. And that's a belief. What is it? The Bible is silent on abortion, and when that happens, there's a social issue as important as we've had in Scripture as a whole, and we've got to try to make some kind of ethical determination. Tellerico said, "Fight now in Texas right now. Oh man, it's hard to read sometimes, I guess. My glasses are still dirty. And we've got to try to make some kind of ethical determination." Tellerico continued. "Right now in Texas, we have the most extreme abortion ban in the country. No exemption for rape, no exemption for incest. We have 2 daughters as young as 10 who were assaulted, who were raped, who are victims of incest, and can't access basic reproduction cars, and they are able to decision where they're going to create. Tellerico, who was first elected to the state house in 2018 at the age of 29, has a story of making provocative. In 2021, he had taken sides on the House floor in Austin, where he was on the opposing side of a bill uh, to ban men from women's sports, which is true. They should not be participating in it. And he's going to get beaten with. But hey, look, if you're in Texas and you're paying attention to the Ken Paxton, James Tellerico campaign, just remember Tellerico believes abortion is not mentioned in the Bible. Okay? And that there's 6 genders. And he reaffirmed that the other day on CNN. So if you don't believe me, believe the did I get stuff from my shirt? Yeah, right there. Wow. Okay. Yeah, he said it on, I believe it was on CNN the other day. He was talking about 6 genders, and there's nothing in the Bible about abortion, and that God is not male or female. But he's always spoke about in the masculine form in the Bible, so I think he missed that part. All right. And then Oyster Boy. We're going to end on, well, it's almost time to go. Oyster Boy, that'd be Graham Plattner up, and he's being propped up by Senator Chris Murphy. Um, so, so claiming voters are resonating with his regular people's struggles. The fact that he put a Nazi tattoo on his chest, and the fact that he also put told a U.S. veteran that he's better off dead, right? And so on and so forth about it. Man, I thought I had this in here. But Graham Plattner, right now he is holding a 9-point lead. Right now it's very early. Usually, okay, look, let's put it like this. I'm done, all right? Polls, all right? When you're reading polls in terms of election, not just an approval poll, but when you're looking at polls in general on where if someone's going to elect someone for something, I'm going to get my stuff ready here. I'm on 9% of it there, but you don't want to. People usually, by tradition, don't get involved in looking at polls for campaigns because they don't really get in campaigns till after Labor Day. And no, right now it's into May, so we got all of June, July, and August before Labor Day. And I think Labor Day is late this year. I think Labor Day is like September 9th or something like that. But the fact is, they say he's got a 9-point lead over Susan Collins in Maine. Right now, doesn't mean nothing. And I will continue. There's 3 people I don't want to see go anywhere. 2 people I don't want to see go anywhere. Low T Telefrico and Graham Plattner. Those are the 2 people I want to see defeated soundly, right? And next week I want to see Steve Hilton win the nomination for governor of California. And then also I want to see um, uh, Spencer Pratt win in Los Angeles. All right. So, hey, I'm almost out of here. I'm going to give you a quick show real quick. This is happening next Thursday at in Belton. Next Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Dead Fish Grill. Come on out and enjoy it. It's Pints and Politics, all right? Go back. It's 9 a.m. I'm going to do my raid over to the Dan Bongino show, and I will see y'all on Monday at, why did it not go? I will see y'all at 6:30 Monday for the, there we go. For the morning brief, all right? So y'all have a great weekend. I just rated the channel 2, 1, and okay. So I will see y'all later. Enjoy Dan Bongino. See y'all. I'm out.